We need to talk about this. Talk about this.
All right, now, here's your host of the Georgio Says podcast. It's Georgio.
We need to talk about this.
All right, my friends, welcome to an all-new episode of Georgio Says the podcast. It is Monday, August 25th. I can't believe September's right around the corner, but that is not what we're here to discuss. Obviously, it's Monday, so you know I'm going to recap Real Housewives of London. And yes, I am very sorry you're not able to watch it unless you have a VPN. But yes, I am watching. I am obsessed. It's giving me everything I've been missing from our US franchises as of late. It's a lot lighter. It's a lot more shadier. It's fun. It's just giving me all the things that I need going into fall. Anyways, I hope everyone's doing super well. I do want to say that I do have, if you follow me on Instagram, which if you're not, that's weird, but okay. If you follow me on Instagram, I posted yesterday, I finally finished one of the pieces of merch that I'm going to be dropping in this first collection of stuff that I'm creating, but the product is a tarot deck. So the story behind this is that if you've been following me for a long time, I've done a lot of collaborations with Femme Tarot, who is a medium, spiritual life coach. And so she obviously does a lot of readings. We've done readings on her channel. She's come on my channel. She's been on the podcast many a times, and she has predicted a lot of things. But nonetheless, since those collaborations, I've also built a lot of the audience who's very much into astrology and very much into tarot and things like that. I even have a lot of people who are mediums and tarot readers who follow the channel and always said, how fun would it be if there was a tarot deck that was Housewives inspired or Housewives themed? And I thought, what a great idea. So I did some digging and I was like, can I even do this? Obviously, I knew I could design them, but how could I get it to print and like all that fun stuff? So anyways, long story short, that is going to be available for pre-order very soon. I am getting my first order and I'm going to just inspect to make sure everything is perfect. And then once that is up, you'll be able to pre-order it. Now, I have spoken to a lot of you who live outside of the US, like in London. A lot of you are asking, will you guys be able to get this? The short answer right now is no, but that's not the final answer. I'm still trying to do some investigating. There might be some ways to go about doing that. But I obviously want to keep the shipping costs down for you guys because if it's too expensive or it's annoying, then there's no point. Nonetheless, if you're watching this podcast, you will see a preview of some of the cards. If you want some better visuals, you can go to my Instagram, like I said, but that will be one of the first pieces, among other things, that will be released in the next couple of weeks. So that's that. We do need to jump into some quick headlines, and I'll keep it quick because again, it's Monday. We don't want to be overdoing it on a Monday. We have enough going on, but I do want to kind of follow up on a couple things that I did discuss last week on TikTok and Instagram. There was a couple of things that had come out, so why not just kind of jump into where we're at with those things before I discuss Real Housewives of London.
It's time for the headlines. We need to talk about this.
All right, my friends. Okay, so a couple things. I know last week was very heavy on Orange County content. Listen, with the Bravo schedule as it is, I think I said this last week on one of the episodes. One of the Bravo calendars that came out, it literally says to just start rewatching Real Housewives of Salt Lake City from season 1 every day except Thursdays, because now Thursdays is the day that we only get new episodes of Orange County and Miami, because again, Miami moved from Wednesday nights to Thursday nights, which I don't know why they did that. Like, it's better when you have like a little bit. We already don't have enough as it is to spread it out. Why are you putting them all in one night? Anyways, neither here nor there. The point is, there's, as you know, if you're an avid watcher, which if you're listening to this podcast, you are, there's not a lot going on in terms of episodes. And so, it's mainly Orange County and Housewives, but mainly with Orange County right now, what we're seeing is, the latest is rather Katie again has been caught up in this crossfire, and Amir, you may know Amir. He goes by Amir. Yes, on it's YASS on socials. Nonetheless, I've been on his podcast in the past. I believe he's been on mine. I want to say maybe. Nonetheless, I've spoken to him less than a handful of times. He went on a podcast. Okay, I believe it was Justin Martindale's podcast. And he gives his view on the Katie situation, and not just his view. He kind of, in my opinion, spilled a lot of information around who she is, what her motives were, and the things that she alleged around some of the cast members. So obviously this ran like wildfire, and I did discuss it, and I just mainly shared what Amir said. But once I step away from that, I then go into investigative mode. Because obviously, I want to give you the tea as always, but I also want to do my investigative work to see, like, A, how much of this is true? Because again, I'm starting to notice a trend where, yes, Katie has made some mistakes, and some would call them rookie mistakes. But at the end of the day, it almost feels like now everyone's trying to get a piece of this pie. Like, let me get some views and clicks from the Katie of it all. Now, what I will say is, it's not to say that I'm saying, Katie, again, is innocent in anything that he mentioned on this podcast, but some of the things he mentioned on here, for what he's saying he wants to get back into doing, I personally don't feel that someone who's trying to get back into PR and client relations, if that is what you're trying to get yourself back into, I don't think going on a podcast and talking about, an alleged maybe prior client the way that you did on this one. Like, if you are done with that world and you just spilling all the tea, well then, girl, we're here listening. But it's also like, so that was one red flag for me. And again, this is not an attack against Amir. This is my opinion on what has been given. Okay. And I'm always honest with you guys. I'm not trying to sugarcoat stuff. I'm not trying to, this is not a like excuse Katie and none of that. I simply am saying that I don't necessarily believe everything that Amir alleged in that conversation with Justin. So I am digging more into this. I'm pulling all the details together, and I'm going to do a shorter synopsis when I piece it all together, because I did talk to a few people, and a few people reached out to me. And actually, one of the people was a stylist, and he commented under the video that I made around this story regarding what Amir had said about Katie. And he basically, the stylist came out and said that basically Amir is an opportunist and he's a liar. He's unprofessional. He never was actually able to get Katie into Fashion Week, as he alleged on Justin's podcast, because on the podcast, Amir had said that he had gotten her front row seats to Fashion Week. The stylist is saying, no, that's absolutely false. In fact, Katie, the only way Katie was able to attend any Fashion Week shows, which I believe she went to 2 shows, was through this stylist. Now, I had an offline conversation with the stylist, and to summarize it, their view of Amir was that he was unprofessional, he was an opportunist, and he was just simply trying to get tea from, I guess, the housewives world. So they decided ultimately it was a conflict of interest to work with him, because this was prior to Katie getting a contract for Housewives. So I guess once they mulled it over, knowing that Amir also does do content where he spills the tea like he did on this podcast, I'm sure Eric Baskin may have advised her against maybe being represented by someone like that, who might use some of the information you tell them for content. that's my own speculation, but based on logic, that makes more sense to me than the version that was given on the podcast. Again, this is not to attack Amir, and I'm not saying Amir is lying. What I am saying, though, is that there are a couple pieces that don't make sense to me, and that was one of them. The other piece was he said that Katie had told him that she wanted to be a GMA co-host, and he had said, reach lower, just whatever, being shady, basically saying that she came from the Golf Channel. Now, I did some investigating. Now, it looks to be that her husband, Matt, is actually on the Golf Channel or from the Golf Channel, whatnot. Katie is not or was not on like a Golf Channel per se. Now, she is connected to media through, I guess, the sport of golf. But what I found really much more interesting is that Matt's really, really good connection and friend works on Good Morning America as a host. So that, and again, I'm going to tie this all up with visuals and all that stuff for a TikTok, Instagram. So stay tuned for that. But I just wanted to let you guys know, because this is part of the like headlines that have come out to further the narrative that Katie continues to lie. And again, this is not to cover up anything Katie has done. I've said this multiple times. Her hands are not clean, but let's keep it within reason, right? Because logically, why, in my mind, if my husband is really close friends with someone who already works on Good Morning America, why then would I go to someone outside of that and then tell them that's what I want them to get me? I would have better footing going through my husband in that situation. So those things kind of have not made sense. And based on what I've come to find out, logically for that second part, like the GMA piece, I don't know if I believe that at all. I think if anything, she may have talked about it with Amir, like saying like those are maybe things on her mood board or like whatever, but I don't necessarily believe she went to him and said, this is what I want. I hope you can help me get it. And he was like, no, girl, calm down. Because that's the way it was kind of spun. And so I'm just saying. And also, I just want to keep it real, because I think a lot of times, like I said, people are trying to jump on this bandwagon. There's 5 million there's a blogger on TikTok right now that they're spiraling on their own. No, like I have not seen anybody attack this person publicly, but their videos are demonstrating that A, they either want attention, or B, they want to be a part of this Katie Kiki blogger narrative so badly, but they've not been mentioned once in anything that I've seen. So, and that doesn't mean I've seen it all. I'm just saying I see a lot. All right, so that's that. There was something else I wanted to cover off on that I saw. Now it's going to escape me. Anyways, there was something else I wanted to discuss. This is going to drive me crazy because I know I'm going to jump right into the recap for London and it's going to come to me, but it'll be too late to bring it up at that point. Oh, the drama of it all. Listen, it's Monday. Listen, what did I say at the top of this episode? We're not going to go in this hard on a Monday. There's been a lot going on already. But I guess that's all then. I guess, you know what? I guess it's a sign from the universe that it's not worth mentioning to you guys right now. So I guess without further ado, we'll take a break. And when we come back, we will jump right into the latest episode of Real Housewives of London. My God, these ladies are chef's kiss. We'll be right back.
This episode of the Georgio Says podcast is brought to you by Golly Nutrition, the inventive, people-focused nutrition company making your daily supplements simple and delicious. Every Golly product is crafted with high-quality ingredients you can pronounce and flavors your taste buds will love. At the heart of Golly is purpose. Through the Golly for Good initiative, they support our planet and our communities, partnering with Vitamin Angels and Eden Reforestation Projects. Visit golly.com today and use the code TheGeorgioSays at checkout for a special discount just for our listeners. That's Golly Nutrition. Simple, delicious, and good for the world. Now back to the episode.
All right, my friends, thank you so much for sticking around. It is Monday. Like I said, we are here to discuss Real Housewives of London. It is episode 2. The title of this episode was Betrayals and Body Tapping. Okay. Now, I instantly knew watching episode 1, I was hooked. Okay, so now we are in full Hey You subscription. We are out of the free trial. We've made up our minds. We are locking this in. Okay, so I believe I've made a couple pieces of content. I know I spoke about it on the podcast. I've made an Instagram video about how you can also watch Real Housewives of London. You can go check that out on my Instagram or listen to my podcast. I believe it was last week on Wednesday I talked about it, or maybe it was Tuesday. Anywho, Real Housewives of London. There's so much campiness. I love it. Okay, so I already said it's giving Real Housewives of Beverly Hills season 1, but a little bit more campy. The ladies are definitely in their bubbles when it comes to like their social status, their wealth, all of that. We love to see a delusional housewife. At least I do. Listen, Panthea is still on one, you guys. And here's the thing. She's going to be the antagonist of this franchise, which obviously no shocker after last week. Her entrance into Amanda's party and going off on Juliet the way she did should lead you to believe that she's going to be the antagonist. But it was more this episode that solidified it for me because we get to meet Panthea's mom, Shala Joon. Okay. Now, I have to tell you, I have a very special place in my heart for Persian mothers. Okay. Iranian mothers are always the vibe. Okay. And Shala Joon is the blueprint. Okay. If you've ever met an Iranian mother, a Persian mother, if they don't look and act and talk like Shala Joon, I don't want it. I don't want it because I know a woman, I know a Persian mother who is exactly to a T Shala Joon. Okay. I'm not going to say her name because I'm not going to publicly out her because I'm no longer friends with her daughter, who she and I were friends for like almost a decade. Nonetheless, that's a story for another podcast episode. But I will say, the minute Shala Joon stepped on screen, I was like, okay, a star is born. This is the real star of Real Housewives of London. You learn where Panthea gets her attitude and her sassiness from immediately. Okay. But also, I think when you unpack, you learn a little bit more about Panthea and why she is the way she is. And, you know, you find out she got married at a young age. Her husband basically was a player. He had multiple women. He'd gotten multiple women pregnant while she was pregnant with their child. So she has a lot of betrayal wounds. Okay. So when you kind of take a step back from the situation that happened with Juliet, you know, yes, on the offset, it's petty. It's about something really menial. Oh, you're just coming at her with like these digs. Oh, she borrows her clothes. But it's deeper than that. And we find that out because we see a conversation with Panthea and Nessie. Now, Nessie, she's really close to Juliet, but she doesn't really know Panthea all too well. So this was like a twofold scene. They have lunch. This is more of a like Nessie's role in trying to bring resolve between Juliet and Panthea, but also for, you know, Nessie to get to know Panthea a little bit more. And this is where we discover, you know, the context behind Panthea and her you know, her despise of anyone who lies and causes betrayal, which, to be fair, that's not an abnormal thing. Like, I think anybody with their brain screwed on right would actually feel the same way. I think it's the fact that she reacts so strongly to it in any regard lets us know that there's still that trauma wound that's not been addressed, because, you know, she can absolutely say, I don't like that you're lying. I think that what you did was incorrect. You should have come to me, blah, 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 blah. But instead she lashed out and she went for all these different things and you know, these digs and bringing up the fact that Juliet borrows all of her clothes. At any rate, Nessie is definitely going to be the peacemaker, I feel, in this group, at least as of right now. Again, it's only 2 episodes in, but I'm pretty good at picking up on characterizations of people on these types of shows. And I can kind of feel like, based on the edit, we're going to see, because also makes sense, Nessie is like our trad wife. She's like the baker. She's a mom. She's the traditional housewife. We watch her in this episode get to see her children's cookbook that she wrote and created for the first time. So it's definitely giving like resolution maker as well. Like, let's get her in there to be the peacekeeper. And so I feel that's what she's kind of in for, at least in this situation. And it kind of pays off because at the end of the episode, you know, Juliet and Panthea end up coming to some sort of resolve. Although I don't know if it was really a resolve. It kind of felt like we just didn't want to do this all night kind of thing. So we'll have to continue watching to see that. But another thing I thought was interesting, we saw a scene where Amanda, again, this is Queen Bee of the show. The show's kind of anchored around her. The rest of the women are connected through her, essentially. We see her having a FaceTime call. Now, we know she's divorced. We also know that, you know, there's always these headlines in the media about Amanda and her life and the gossip and the divorce of it all. And we get this scene where she's FaceTiming her stepdaughter. Now, she kind of glosses over a lot of it. They're having just a normal conversation, but in her confessional, she's kind of giving this glossed over context of, yes, the divorce was painful and she did lose the relationship with the children at first, but then she worked to build those bridges back up. And so it kind of is like, obviously they're in good graces. They had a FaceTime call and it seemed like they were getting on just fine, unless that was just for the cameras. But again, if they don't like each other, why would the stepdaughter even bother filming a scene with her? So I do believe they're in a good space. What I don't believe is that the gap in between that where you weren't speaking, like what all was that about, right? Well, that was the question in my mind when that scene took place. But later in the episode, so Karen is hosting a dinner party as a Real Housewife should, okay? And you know, Panthea starts to, I mean, essentially she was grilling Amanda, but it came off more like inquisitive, like I'm asking the questions that are out here in the media so that I can get it straight from the source, whether or not it's true. Well, Amanda clearly was not liking all the line of questioning coming from Panthea around specifically like the marriage that I guess she just ended, where there was rumors that she had forced her ex-husband into adopting her daughter. So that way, like she would secure more money, all these things. Now, there's also rumors that Amanda herself is the one leaking all this to the press because she wants the attention. But in this moment, it was clear she was saving face by then saying, I don't like gossip and I don't like things that are just in the media and blah, blah, blah. Basically trying to shut Panthea down on continuing to ask these questions because, you know, where there's smoke, there's fire. And whether or not Amanda's leaking those things to the press herself or it's someone close to her, the truth is on this show, whether Amanda likes it or not, all of those things will come out.
This episode of the Georgio Says podcast is brought to you by Pop Pop and Ya-Ya's Smoky Pet Treats, where every bag has a story, and every bite is made with love. Each Pop Pop and Ya-Ya's Smoky Pet Treat is 100% natural, gently smoked to perfection, and made with just one ingredient, either chicken or beef. Your pets won't say no. No preservatives, no additives, just pure, savory flavor your dogs will love. Perfect for snacking, training, or even crumbling over their meals for an extra tail-wagging treat. Visit ppyytreats.com today to shop their smoky chicken breast strips and smoky beef strips and tell them Georgio sent you. Now let's get back to the episode.
Because I can already tell with Amanda in this episode, she's kind of trying to keep things buttoned up. And I don't think you can be on a show like Housewives and try to keep anything that is messy buttoned up, at least not for long, right? So that was that. There was this really funny back and forth when Panthea and Juliet were having a go at each other again, because Juliet basically said Panthea's style is stuck in the 2010s, which I thought was so funny because on some level it is, but then when you look at all of them, they kind of all are stuck in their own timeline era. Like when you look at Juliet's confessionals, like she's, like I said last week, she's wearing like stuff from like the British royalty from like the 1800s. Like it's very campy stuff, probably very, very expensive stuff, but very, very campy. Like where are you wearing this other than like to film a TV show interview? You know what I mean? Like nonetheless, The show is great. I think that these ladies are going to definitely bring it. I'm going to continue to watch. I was a little like, oh, I wonder how good episode 2 is going to be because, obviously sometimes I get a little too excited with episode 1 because I'm like, sometimes I feel like I'm starved for some like of that old school housewives nostalgia. But no, they're clocked in, they're ready to go. This episode was giving, and I know based on the trailer we have a hell of a lot more that's coming our way. So I will definitely keep you guys recapped on everything Real Housewives of London. And if you haven't watched, if you're on the fence and you can get yourself a VPN, do yourself a favor, log on, watch the first 2 episodes. We're 2 episodes in, catch up with me. I'm also thinking a lot of you guys were throwing out an idea. I'm still playing around with this idea of doing a on my Patreon channel where I do a rewatch where I basically you watch me watch the episode. So it gives you guys out there the opportunity to maybe watch it if you haven't been able to get access to a VPN or are not going to do that. Nonetheless, I'm still playing around with that idea. So I will keep you guys posted on that. What else is happening? Thank you guys for the love. I have received some great 5-star reviews. I really, really appreciate it. We are back in the full swing of it. It is back to school season. So the energy and momentum is only going up from here. Yes, it's crazy everywhere, but hopefully this is a break for you guys. I enjoy doing it. So I'm happy you guys are able to join me every single episode. Just a reminder, like I said at the top of this episode, my Housewives in the Stars tarot deck will be available for pre-order very soon. I'm just, like I said, I just want to make sure I get it in my hands and confirm everything looks exactly the way I want it to. And then I will put the link out for you guys to pre-order it. And I'm so excited. And then I will obviously update you guys with the other pieces of the merch collection that I'm finishing up. And yeah, we'll be really, really good to go for fall. It's going to be a good fall. That's all I can say. All right. So listen, I'm not going to hold you guys up. It's Monday. I know everyone's busy. I just wanted to jump on here and give you guys the tea, the follow-up. I will continue to keep you guys abreast on the Katie and Amir situation. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your Monday. Stay safe. And until the next episode, you guys, I will talk to you on the next one. Bye.
We need to talk about this. Talk about this.
Thanks for listening. Make sure to leave a 5-star review wherever you listen to your podcast.
We need to talk about this.